Hi everyone, welcome to Inside and Out Yoga and Meditation, where every day we help you reach your highest potential inside and out. I'm Emily, I'm going to be your yoga instructor. Today we have another, just like last week, very beginner friendly practice. We're actually not going to even do any chaturangas in this practice. So if this is your first class, welcome. We're so happy to have you. If you are a seasoned yogi, welcome. We're so happy to have you. Today, the big focus is going to be on our breath. So let's see what happens. All right, everyone, come to whatever comfortable seat fits you today. I'm going to sit cross-legged. We're gonna sit for a minute, not very long, but just make sure you're comfortable. Whenever you arrive there, just bring your hands to your thighs wherever they fall and let your eyes come to a close. We're going to be focusing on our breath today. So before we get into any specifics of anything, just turn your focus to your breath, maybe where it's sitting, if it's a little shallow. Notice these things without judgment. Feel your seat on the mat. Feel whatever body part is touching the ground. Really feel that connection. And see if you can change your inhales and exhales to be in and out through your nose. When all else fails us, when we have nothing else to look to, nothing else to ground us, we always have our breath. We might not always have the tools with us, we might not always have the mat with us, all of the tools that yoga gives us. The one that is constant is the breath. It's always with us, and it's vital for our life, right? So let's use it to our advantage. One of the, I think, most accessible breaths to use is the Ujjayi Breath. It almost sounds internally like the ocean, which is another piece of imagery that could be helpful for you maybe. And it's very simple. We're going to inhale and exhale through our nose, but you're going to use your tongue to constrict the back of your throat just a smidge so you can hear the breath like the ocean in your own head. So you're going to take a nice deep inhale and exhale it out through the nose. Maybe you were able to hear that. It's not super loud, but you're not putting your tongue right on the roof of your mouth. There's still some space so air can move, but you're almost creating like not a wall on the back of your throat, but maybe like a little fence. So some air gets through, but there is some of that block, and that's what creates the sound. If you're not able to find this, don't worry about it. Don't stress about it. Just focus on inhaling and exhaling through your nose. So if you chose to open your eyes, bring them back to a close, and we'll just take a moment to experiment with the Ujjayi Breath. Inhaling and exhaling. We'll do that 3 times on our own. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes and join me laying on your back with the feet on the earth, knees pointing to the sky. Make sure your whole back is flat on the earth, so adjust as needed. Let your arms just lay on either side. Cross your left ankle over your right knee, letting your left knee come out to the side. Maybe this is enough of a stretch for you in your glutes, or maybe your right foot comes off the earth. You reach behind your right thigh and bring both legs more into your torso. Wherever you are, take that left foot in your hands and give it a nice massage. Right, our feet do so much for us, and often they don't really get a lot of good treatment. We're pounding them on the earth every day without even a second thought. So it's always nice to give them a little extra attention. You can let the massage go and maybe grab hold of the back of your thigh for one last stretch and let both legs come back to the earth. And take the crossing on the other side, right ankle over left knee. And if you decided to bring both legs in for a hug on the other side, see what it feels like on this side. Maybe it feels different. And once again, we find ourselves massaging our feet. You can take this massage longer than I'm giving. You can pause the video and really get into those feet. Like I said, they really deserve the attention. They go through so much, and they really are our biggest connection to the earth, right? If you think about it, our feet are really is what is touching the earth most of the time. So it's a beautiful source of grounding. You can let the massage go if you'd like. Take one last squeeze and let the feet come back to the earth. Roll over onto your favorite side and meet me in a tabletop position. Shoulders above the wrists, hips above the knees. We'll move through some cats and cows here. Except in our cow pose, we'll be sending the hips back to a child's pose. So rounding back so the hips can almost come to the heels. Inhale, forward, arching the spine, maybe the elbows bend, and exhale, rounding the spine, sending the hips back. Take that as many times as you'd like. Find a neutral spine, tuck the toes, and lift the hips up and back for downward facing dog. Pedal out here, find a nice, comfortable dog for you. And when you're ready, inhale the right leg to sky, step it forward for a low lunge, and stay, maybe lifting the heart, coming to fingertips. Plant through the palms, send the right leg back, plank pose. Lower all the way down to the earth through bent elbows, untucking the toes, lifting the heart, baby cobra. Planting the palms, moving through tabletop and coming up and back to downward facing dog. Coming back down to our tabletop, gently lowering the knees, scooping the belly under, arching the spine, and rounding back, sitting through that child's pose, bending through the elbows, arching the spine, coming forward, rounding, sending the hips back. You can kind of play around with this movement, see how it feels good for you. And if it's too much, if you don't feel good doing this, you can just stick with a regular cat-cow. Find a neutral spine, tuck the toes, lift the hips, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg comes to sky. Step it forward between the palms for that low lunge. Come to fingertips, maybe lift the heart. Maybe you even gently look up, but being mindful of your neck. Step the left foot back. Come to a plank pose and lower all the way to the earth. Hug the elbows in, shoulders down. Inhale, baby cobra. Tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg comes to sky. And step it forward between the palms for that low lunge. Maybe you come to fingertips as you lower the left leg, untuck the left toes, and rise for a crescent lunge. Really drawing that right hip crease back. If it feels okay for you, you can have a wider space between your heel and your left knee and maybe lean into that left hip flexor. Bring the hands to the hips, tuck the left toes, and come up to a high lunge. Left heel is off the earth, bend is in the right leg. Hands can stay on the hips or come up to frame the ears. Pivoting all the way to parallel, facing the left side of your mat and coming to a wide-legged forward fold. Hands can come to the earth or maybe blocks. You can have the elbows straight or bent for a little bit of a deeper stretch. You can have a micro bend in the knees. This pose can really be yours here. Walk forward so the right leg is in front. We land in a low lunge. Left leg is extended behind. Step the right foot back, plank pose, and lower all the way down, untucking the toes. Inhaling, lifting the heart, looking forward just a bit, baby cobra. Tucking the toes, lifting the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg comes to sky. Step it forward between the palms for that low lunge. Lowering that right knee, untucking the right toes, we rise, crescent lunge. Finding a long spine here. No arching in the spine. No collapsing into the hips, so using those abs to lift us up. Hands can come to the hips. We tuck through the right toes and come all the way up to a high lunge, keeping that nice bend in the left knee. Arms can frame the ears. If you have sensitive shoulders, maybe you keep them on the hips. Pivot to face the right side of your mat, feet in parallel, and fold forward. You can even take some movements here, really bending one knee, really bending the other. Again, find freedom here. Staying with your breath. These moments of pause are a beautiful time to come back to your breath, maybe even that Ujjayi breath if it was something that really connected with you. Walk the hands to the top of the mat, so left leg is in front. We're in a low lunge. Step that left foot back to a plank pose, lower all the way. Inhale, baby cobra. Tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Finding that Ujjayi breath, or a regular breath if Ujjayi is not for you, that's okay too. Lift the heels, bend the knees, look forward, and take a beautiful slow walk to the top of your mat. Fold when you arrive. Maybe you need a little bend in the knees, that's okay. No matter if you had a bend in the knees or not, take one now as you roll up to a standing position, Tadasana, mountain pose. Adjusting through the feet as needed, finding a comfortable stance. Feeling connected to the earth, maybe palms open up to the front of the mat. Maybe eyes close here even. Feeling the breath move through us, our whole bodies. Inhale, lift the arms to frame the ears, and slowly, slowly sit down in your chair and keep sitting deeper and deeper, keeping a long spine until your butt hits the earth. It could be as slow a sit as you'd like. When you arrive on the earth, let your legs extend. Hands can come to either side of the hips to remind yourself to have that tall spine here. And maybe crawl yourself forward for seated forward fold. Hands can come to shins, or maybe they grab the feet or the toes. It can be as deep as a fold as you'd like. If you're feeling like you're not really folded, you can just tuck the chin where you are, or you can even feel free to bend the knees and give yourself a hug underneath your knees, really coming into yourself. Once again, these moments of pause is where we reconnect to our breath. And then when we're able to connect to it in these moments of pause, we're more easily able to access them when we're moving quickly. Slowly roll back up to a seat and gently lower yourself on to your mat, just laying flat, legs out long, arms out long. Breathing through any tension or any thoughts. This is a nice time to experiment with that Ujjayi breath if it's new to you. Remembering it's a sound like the ocean. Just gently, I like to lift my tongue to gently close off the back of the throat, but don't let that be a scary thought for you. It's breathing in and out through our nose, making sounds in our heads. If it's not connecting for you, if it's becoming a point of stress or judgment, just let it go and just be. I'll stop talking for a moment so you can have this time with yourself, but trust I'm still here and we will end the practice together. When you're ready, you can take some gentle movements in the fingers and toes. I highly encourage you to stay in Shavasana for as long as possible today. If you'd like to come up to a seat, roll onto your favorite side and press yourself up. And remember, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, you always have a moment to stop down and find refuge in your breath. It could be a very ordinary breath. It could be just a deep inhale and a deep exhale. It doesn't need to be an Ujjayi breath. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. It's our biggest tool, our biggest cheerleader even, our greatest healer. Don't let it go forgotten. Thank you for sharing your heart with me today as I share mine with you. Namaste.